The Jalamangkara Detachment, or abbreviated as Denjaka, is a detachment for countering terror, in the marine aspect of the Indonesian Navy. Denjaka is a joint unit between Kopaska personnel, and the Marine Corps Taifib, Indonesian Navy. Denjaka members are educated at Bumi Marinir Cilandak, South Jakarta, and must complete an education called PTAL, combating terrorist aspects of the sea. The length of education is 6 months. Denjaka is devoted to anti-terror units, although they can also be operated anywhere, especially the anti-terror aspects of the sea. Denjaka was formed based on instructions from the commander of the Indonesian Army to the commander of the Marine Corps No Isn.01, p. 4, 1984, dated November 13, 1984. The Jalamangkara Detachment, apart from serving as the Marine Corps Executive Command, which is directly under Dankormar, is also the main acting commander of the Indonesian Army. As the Marine Corps Executive Command, Denjaka has the main task in building the strength and capability of the Jalamangkara Detachment unit. Meanwhile, as the main executor of the Indonesian Army commander, in this case the head of the Indonesian Armed Forces, as the organizing of special capacity building, includes anti-terror operations, anti-sabotage and clandestine operations, which have sea aspects as well as other special operations. On November 4, 1982, the Indonesian Navy Chief of Staff formed a task organization called the Special Forces of the Navy, PTAL. The existence of PTAL was urged by the need for a special Indonesian Navy force to deal with all forms of threats from the marine aspect, such as terrorism, sabotage and other threats. In this first phase, 70 personnel were recruited from the Amphibious Reconnaissance Battalion, Taifib, and the Frog Troop Command, Kopaska. Command and control of guidance under the commander of the Western Fleet, with the assistance of the commander of the Marine Corps. The Indonesian Navy Chief of Staff acts as operational controller. Headquarters was established at Mako Armabar. Seeing the development and needs of this special unit, the Chief of Staff of the Indonesian Navy wrote to the commander of the Indonesian Armed Forces about the desire to form the Jalamangkara Detachment. The commander of the Armed Forces of the Republic of Indonesia agreed, and since then, November 13, 1984, Denjaka has become a marine aspect anti-terror unit. According to the decision of the Chief of Staff of the Indonesian Navy, Denjaka is the executing command of the Marine Corps, which has the main task of carrying out capacity building and strength in order to carry out anti-terror, anti-sabotage and clandestine operations in the marine aspects at the behest of the Indonesian Army commander. Based on the regulation of the commander of the Indonesian National Armed Forces, number Perpang 77/2010, regarding the approval and ratification of rank promotions in a position within the Marine Corps, it is decided that the Jalamangkara Detachment commander has the rank of colonel. Denjaka's recruitment pattern started from the training of the para and commandos. One step before entering Denjaka, the selected soldiers must have the amphibious reconnaissance qualification. In carrying out the action, this special unit can be moved towards the target either by surface or underwater or by air. The Indonesian Navy still has one more special force, namely the Frog Troop Command, Kopaska. The two units have conducted joint exercises several times with the U.S. Navy SEALs. Denjaka consists of one Zetan detachment headquarters, one headquarters team, one engineering team and 3 combat teams. As an implementing element, Denjaka soldiers are required to have the highest operational readiness for speed mobility, confidentiality and impromptu, as well as a field of operation in the form of ships, offshore installations and coastal areas. Besides that, he also has the skills to approach targets by sea, underwater and vertically from the air. Each Denjaka soldier is provided with a course on countermeasures against maritime aspects of anti-terror and anti-sabotage intelligence, tactics and techniques, fundamentals of specialization, advanced maritime and military command. This course is held every 5.5 months, located in Jakarta and its surroundings. Followed by the material maintenance of skills, and increasing the proficiency of Taifib and PASCO qualifications, maintenance and improvement of shooting, running and swimming abilities, enhancing martial skills, tactical mastery and secret penetration techniques, land, sea and air, mastery of tactics and techniques to seas, and mastering installations in the sea, ships, ports or bases and personnel held hostage and vital objects at sea, mastery of tactics and techniques of clandestine operations, in the marine aspects, knowledge of terrorism and sabotage, diffusing explosives, and improving survival, escape, deposition, and resistance to questioning. To support the operations, Denjaka personnel are equipped, among others, submachine gun MP5, HKPS G1, Daewoo K7, G36 assault rifles, HK416, M4, Ponda Detasemen, CZ58, Minimi M60 submachine gun, Daewoo K3, and Beretta, HK pistol, P30 and Sig Sauer 9mm. Not surprisingly, among the hundreds of soldiers who participated in the Denjaka education selection, only about 50 people were accepted. They will be trained hard at the Candra Damuco crater in Cilandak. In previous years, there were often only a dozen soldiers who had qualified. Those who did not pass were returned to their original units. After entering the second selection stage, not all who attended the education passed. It is possible for some of them to be returned to their units, because they are unable to attend education. Apart from being physically fit, the Denjaka candidate is also required to have a high IQ. This is because the elite troops that are often used to infiltrate the operational area must be able to face various problems, both individually and in groups. During his education, the theory in the classroom is only 20%. The rest is in the field, such as forests, sea and even air. They must have the best capabilities on land, sea and air. They are required to be able to carry out secret tasks perfectly. To achieve all that, a very hard and strict education is needed. They must be able to infiltrate by parachuting, move swiftly in the sea with high endurance, and survive on land. They are spotted in the middle of the ferocious waves in the Banyuwangi Sea, which usually wash away fishing boats. With their hands and feet tied, the soldiers were thrown into the ferocious sea. They must be able to survive and save themselves. Their training was tough. Legs and hands tied can live. Why is that? If at any time the three media soldiers, controlling the land, sea and airfields, were thrown into the sea, with their hands and feet tied by the enemy, they would be able to save themselves. After fighting the big waves in the sea, they are also required to survive in the forest, without the slightest provision. To test their endurance, the chosen soldiers were released in the middle of the forest, only with salt. Drinking water is not allowed to be brought. The rest, find yourself in the forest. The exercise was carried out at Alasperwo. There, they are released to train physical endurance and individual abilities. In the middle of the forest, they have to endure days. They often only eat wild animals, such as snakes. If they are able to catch a monkey, that animal is eaten too. For 3 days and 3 nights, they slept in the middle of the jungle. Sometimes, 2. That's not enough. Regarding hitting by the instructor, to train mentally is not something strange among them. They really have to be mentally and physically ready. So hard, it's not surprising that at the beginning of that education, some people resigned. For aerial training, they were no longer trained in combat like ordinary soldiers. When in combat, as soon as we leave the plane door, the umbrella is already open. However, Denjaka was trained in freefall. Interestingly, the freefall was not only done during the day, but also in the middle of the night. That way, if at any time they enter into enemy targets, they do not have to go by land or sea that are easily detected by the opponent. Denjaka can also be lowered from the plane, at an altitude that is difficult for the enemy to detect. In order to avoid detection by the enemy, They had to be good at diving. By using a compass, while calculating the degrees of the target area, the Denjaka must be able to appear at the right point. That's just the training stage. If the inauguration is known as pemberan, they have to walk day and night. That is often done in Banyuwangi, Surabaya. They were released in Banyuwangi, and ordered to gather in Surabaya within a specified time. If you ride a vehicle and are caught by the instructor, you will experience severe punishment. His beret will not land on his head.